are living in times when media, the people's very own messenger, has become a threat to their privacy and safety. This was quite evident a few days ago when students of NALSAR University were thrown a farewell party by their juniors. A crew of local TV channel abruptly filmed the people who were exiting the club, and what is disturbing is that this footage was used to raise a debate on whether such issues are morally acceptable. This has left the youth of Hyderabad in a daze, as now they are afraid to go out and party, fearing for their privacy. We at Hyderabad Beats decided to talk to the victims one-on-one and get their opinion about what exactly happened and how they feel about it.
And then we took that phone. How dare you take a video of me? Is this a camera from the press?
Yes, I got it.
Okay, just go in. Where's Rashi? Excuse me, if you have any sensibility to this topic right now. आपके पास कुछ थोड़ा भी अगर आपके पास सेंस है तो आप समझ
Come on, speak that. Come on now, come on, speak that. What you are going to speak for them? Come on, speak that.
Shut up! Shut up! You are the one who is supporting this pervert who took our videos. Take that video away!
No, just want to speak.
On 11th April, there was a thrown a farewell party for us, which got over at 10:30 p.m. At 10:30, we started proceeding with the crowd and ushering the crowd into the pre-booked cabs that were waiting for us outside the club, the road. At this point in time, which took around, let's say, half an hour to get everyone out of the club. At around 11 o'clock, when few of the cabs have left and the last bunch was still waiting, we noticed that a man had been standing and his camera phone had been focused on the cab doors continuously. So we realized that it was definitely using a photo or a video. So they reprimanded him, demanded him to delete the videos. He was very uncooperative, so we demanded the phone. He gave us a phone, which was a BlackBerry. As soon as he got it, he proceeded to a cache ready to delete the video and remove the memory card for evidence in case of a police complaint. So at that point in time, then when we got into the cab, our juniors kind of pushed everyone in and our cab just took off. It was all really fast. When our cab was driving on the road, we realized that we had the wrong phone, and Shruti informed us that one of the bouncers had told her that we had the wrong phone and the real phone was an Apple iPhone, just you as a person. So we decided to take a U-turn and go back to the spot. This time when we reached, there was a huge mob that had gathered. There was one or two constables and of course the media van. The mob crowded around our car, so we had to get out of our car. And then we tried taking help from the bystanders, telling everyone that he was shooting videos of our friends and they should help us. We told the same to the media camera person also. In fact, in the footage you can actually listen, you can hear it all. Shruti is saying that constantly. In the meantime, I had the phones, the two people whose phone it belonged to, they came and started saying, give the phone back. Now the media, at this point in time, sometime in this whole, when all this was happening, the media person switched on his camera and started shooting us, which was something not acceptable to us. We were anyhow protesting against videos being shot of us and he's doing exactly the same thing. So some of us went back to work, like I went back and Shruti also came back to the cab and he followed us there. And all throughout this he's heckling us, he's trying to provoke us by saying things such as, Madam, what is the opinion of the media? Speak up sister, speak up, why are you standing? Which really agitated us. We are already trying to handle a bad situation of sexual harassment when this person comes and he follows us around and forces us to make provocative statements. Well then, the police person, we arrived, the superior, and we gave him the code and we left for campus. The next day morning, we were informed that the same footage of us complaining about sexual harassment of a person shooting our video without our consent had been put up and was being aired by a few channels in the name of us being drunken. Those were being published in public places.
So, were any of you drunk?
We were not drunk. And in fact, the footage that is being aired by them itself, you can hear us speak in lucid terms. We are saying the words very clearly. All that's happening is that we're screaming because we were agitated. We were angry that a person was taking our videos and there's so much commotion happening and no one's doing anything about it. That was our reaction to it. Just because we were angry does not mean that we were drunk. It was just screaming about it.
What was the response of crowd and did police cops, did they do anything to help you? And
the police cops were basically just standing. Who was speaking to the cops while the cameraman was chasing them, and the cops did tell us to wait for the superiors to come, which is why we were even there for that long. But eventually it was growing larger and the cameraman was constantly harassing them and everyone was getting more and more agitated. The cops asked us to leave for the time being and come back to the next day with a complaint if we wanted to. So at that moment we couldn't file the complaint with the police.
so, how are you people holding up after this entire incident? You must have been pretty shaken after this.
Yeah, our immediate response was to call up the news channel to find out exactly what had happened and why they had aired this video in this manner. And we realized that none of them were going to respond to us. They were not cooperative at all. In fact, one of them held a debate the same afternoon that it came out without even telling us about it. So, although we were shaken up after the video, our immediate response was that we must do something about this. We have to get our story out, which is why we even started our online campaign. Initially, we just wanted to get our story out, and then we realized that there were some larger issues involved over here. So, although it has been a little scary for us in the beginning, now I think we're holding up fine. We're just very concerned about the way the media has continued to behave, the media that had misrepresented us in the first place. They're still not cooperating with us, although we have tried to convey to them that we want them to apologize and publish our clarification. And these are the only two things that we are mainly looking for. They have not cooperated, so we will be going for legal action now.
So you're sure to fight?
Definitely, because initially we thought we shouldn't take it to the courts if they are going to respond to us properly, and then we can talk about the larger issue together. But since they're not interested in doing that, we will have to take them to court. Yeah.
So how is your college and management helping you?
The college has been really supportive of us from the beginning. When our Vice Chancellor heard about this, the first thing he did was to find out our side of the story. Then an executive council was convened, which consists of members from both within and outside NALSAR. They also decided to support us and support our petitions because they could see how wrong this whole situation was. And they have also decided to take up the larger cause in a big way. They currently formed a committee, a subcommittee under the Exec Council, which will look into the larger issue of misrepresentation of women in the media, and they will come out with their agenda soon.
So, how is your family and how are your friends taking it? How have they been supporting you?
As you can see from the very beginning that our online campaign only worked because our friends and family showed such great support. They as soon as they realized what had happened to us, they all started talking about it with people who could help us and who could do something about it. And that is the only reason that we have even reached this point. We have even reached till here because our family and friends and especially people in our college, they have been such great support.
So, I mean, after this incident, how have people been perceiving things? I mean, are they scared of partying at pubs?
I don't think so. I hope that people have perceived this as something which is empowering, that they should do what they want with their life as long as it is within the laws of our country. And if something wrong does happen while they're doing it, they should speak out. And that is the only way you will get any redressal, by speaking out and putting your story out there. So continue doing what you want to do as long as you're not breaking the law.
So, what do you have to say about the fact that
media is supposed to be something that carries message to the people, and when that itself is turning against you and that is actually biting you in the back, how do you even expect to get justice? What do you have to say about that?
The thing is that it is only a few news channels which aired the video in such a wrong fashion. We have been getting a lot of support both by the print media and other news channels, and they have really taken up our cause very seriously, and we are very grateful for that. There is also a big reason for the success of it. So it's not like there is only bad media in our country, of course, and we want to take the support of the good media who will bring our story out.
It's obvious that people are not supposed to be shooting videos of others without their permission. So, I mean, what do you have to say about that? I mean, clearly this has been violated.
Legal?
Pardon me?
What do you mean legal?
Yeah, it is not legal, right, to intrude into someone's privacy.
So, this is not just a privacy intrusion. I mean, this is not just a violation of the right to privacy. This is also voyeurism. Now, the privacy argument is something that, with respect to media houses, is currently being talked about as well by the government. But what we need to focus on here is the fact that just on 3rd April, the criminal law amendment bill was passed and came into effect. And within that bill it says they have criminalized offences such as voyeurism. Now, what voyeurism is taking someone's video when they're not expecting to be videographed in such a way, or when they're doing something private. And this is they made it a very gender-specific law. So we want everybody to be aware of the fact that such laws do exist, and this has just come in very recently in order to protect us. We should not let it die down and become just one of those things that exists in text, but we need to act on it. So voyeurism is something that we need to know about. And another thing that we need to be aware of is stalking. So what stalking is when someone constantly approaches you. Again, this has been described in gender-specific terms. So when a man is constantly approaching a girl, and when she has shown clear disinterest in being spoken to or in speaking with that man, then in persisting in following her either in person or online, etc., there are various ways to come in it. But if such an approach continues, then what that person is doing is stalking. And these are two very basic things that we need to know about, and they are not minor offences. And this is something that Justice Verma has said within that Verma Committee report, that these are not to be taken as minor offences. And the problem is that I think that they still largely are considered so because they are so rampant. But just because there is such a huge problem does not mean that all of us should start taking on it whenever we do encounter it. Because unless we start doing that, all of this lawmaking, etc., all of this like raising any bill of a human crime, claiming that people are equal and have equal liberties, etc., all of those just become empty statements. So what we need to know is that we need to act when we see such things happen. What we can, as concerned citizens, we can report things that we see in the electronic media which are offensive or which are clearly defamatory and malicious. So what we can do is we can report them to the EMCC, and they are in fact encouraging people to submit reports online, submit complaints online, because it's impossible for one body to be aware of the huge volume of information that's being put out, which is why it's up to the citizens to be responsible, to enforce their rights, to stand up for their entitlements themselves, and to make advantage of the system that has been provided for us. It's only if we try to use the system will it actually start working. And yeah, that's it. That's what we want everyone to take from this.
So I just wanted to ask you how your family is supporting you through this, your family and your friends.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because this is very important. Like Shruti mentioned, there is a pattern of victimization here. There are certain news channels who do succumb to such kind of sensationalization, and in all the videos we've watched, we've seen people hiding their faces when walking out of clubs, but they should not do that. You should stand up for your rights. Our parents have been so supportive. Our school, our vice chancellor, our teachers have been so supportive, and it is important when someone is wronged that you show support so that the right thing can be done. And I encourage all families everywhere to listen to, if something like this happens to their children, to support them, because this is important. We're moving towards an India where personal rights are given more respect, and also the media behaves more responsibly. So yeah, it's important.
What kind of support did you get from your family and your school?
See, in the beginning, as far as family is concerned, obviously the first reaction of our parents was shock and then some kind of worry, and then they were like, obviously as a parent you wonder why this has happened to your child. But when you explain to your parents, you have to sit them down and explain to them that it is important, and at this point we have reached a point where we cannot back down now. We cannot say that the first wrong footage that aired is okay because all of us were anonymous in it. We cannot keep quiet now because this issue needs to be given more exposure. And even with our Vice Chancellor and the institution, they have been so supportive. NALSAR is one of the premier law schools in our country, and the situation demands that we do not silence ourselves now. And I'm so glad that that's what we and my school and our parents are doing, and our friends on Facebook. Thank you for that.
You have anything to add to that?
Just that it was great that we got so much support, and we hope that if something like this happens to other people, they get the same amount of support and that they speak up the same way that we did. It's not only law students who can do this, everyone can.
Shruti?
We haven't been brought up or taught to like stay quiet when we're denied something that we're entitled to, and we should respect. And we should really respect the fact that we need to stand up for things that we are entitled to, because otherwise people are just going to constantly keep taking them from us. And the place is only going to continue to be more unsafe if more women say, okay, I'm just going to hide myself and walk away. What you need to do is confront the person and tell them that what they are doing is wrong. And ensure that the world knows that this is wrong.
Maybe when we talk about media empowerment, we should help fight such injustice.
Yeah, I think I would just like to add the fact that we don't think the entirety of the media is wrong. It's a good thing a lot of people from media background are coming and helping us out. They're supporting us. They're writing about our side of the story instead of. So while we have been victimized by one section, it's also the other section which is empowering us, and which is what's putting our story out there. And we hope that we can garner more support, and everyone supports us, and that we manage to bring about some change in society, because we need to stand up for our rights, raise our voices, agitate. Only then we can see the change that we want to see in society.
So what way has your college advised you with, the course of action? What suggestion did you get from your college when all this happened? How did they guide you through all this?
For the most part, they actually supported us. Yeah, they listened to what we wanted to say, they listened to what we wanted out of the situation, and kind of guide us towards, what would be a good resolution for all parties involved. Because, we were too close to the situation, so we did need an adult figure of sorts to be telling us, someone who's a little removed from the situation, to be telling us how to go about it. The perfect person to do that happens to be the college that we're living in, because they are a law institution, they do know the legal nitty-gritties involved, and the administrators are they're very supportive of their students. So as soon as they heard that, like Kachi said, they wanted our side of the story immediately. And as soon as they found out what had happened, they were outraged as well. They wanted to take immediate action. And so what basically they have done is they have sort of mediated our response also to some extent. They've guided us through how we should be going about our campaign, and they've given us impetus in the form of, it is important that, considering that we live here, it's really important that the people around us sort of are supportive towards us. I know we're saying support a lot, but it's really, really important here. One of the most important things that's keeping this campaign going is support. And this is how our college has been helping. They have, more than anything else, more than all of the legal action, etc., that they will be helping us with, it is in helping us respond that they have really, really helped us so far.
And also the student community.
And yeah, it's been really supportive. That goes without saying, I think. The student community was totally behind us. And this is something that we do expect of them, but it's just when we see it being given so ungrudgingly and so, given exactly how much defamation was involved there, to be given something so ungrudgingly, it was refreshing, and it was good. It helped us, believe in ourselves more, I suppose. Yeah.
It made us stronger.
It made us stronger.
Definitely made us stronger. Because to see a footage all over the news in such bad light, it obviously disturbed us. But then the fact that our friends supported us, our family supported us, the student community was through and through standing behind us, saying, no, we must do something about it. It gave us more courage and made us stronger.
So you're optimistic that you will get justice for this?
You're optimistic. And we will definitely continue fighting for it till we don't get it. We won't get it yet.
I think the important thing is to keep fighting, because if you let the fight die down, then the other party will get complacent, and that can never happen.
And also to keep talking about it, we need to generate dialogue about such issues so that people realize it's happening, and that is the only way anything can change. And that is.
Considering that this incident happened with you, do you think that pre-censoring media would actually help to put an end to these kind of issues? If yes, then wouldn't that be against the free spirit of journalism, where communication to the people should not be restricted?
So, this is a categorical no from our side regarding free censorship. We do not want free censorship. What we want is for the media to understand the responsibility that they have. I mean, that responsibility cannot be fully expressed if they were going to be censored before airing. I mean, that kind of regulation is not something that we're calling for. What we need is stronger self-regulation, and to make sure that the journalists themselves, like the problem here need not necessarily be the higher up. It is the higher up to the extent that they're allowing these people to proliferate within their stations. But the problem there is all of those people who forget to check their facts, all of those people who are willing to talk about a story that they know nothing at all about. And that's a story that they can clearly see is going to project a detrimental view of some people, and in our case, at least, as the cases of so many other women, in fact, where the subject is clearly being harassed. So what we need is for the media themselves to understand that what's happening is wrong. And for this, I mean, yeah, that's essentially our message. Our message is for people to realize that this is wrong. And obviously, as students, we feel that we cannot dictate what the center must do about this, except to the extent that we can clarify that free censorship is not something that we want at all, and it's not something that should come up. We want a responsible media, and we will really, we're really looking for conversation on how to achieve that end. More than anything else, we need that dialogue.
So this was all done as an act of moral policing, right? It was considered to be a sting operation.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the fact that there are a lot of people trying to do moral policing in cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad and other metros?
Yeah, I can actually quote to you. Okay. So there are very specific guidelines against sting operations. You can't just take a video of two people walking down the road and holding hands and saying, oh my god, look at this, whatever, obscenity on road or something. You can't just do things like that and claim that you found some real crime being committed. So I will just read you
Okay, carry on, no problem.
So I'll just read to you what the clause says. As a guiding principle, sting in undercover operations should be a last resort of news channels in an attempt to give the viewer comprehensive coverage of any news story. Sting operations will also abide by the principles of self-regulation mentioned above, which includes privacy. And news channels will ensure that they will be guided by an identifiable larger public interest. News channels will ensure that sting operations are carried out only as a tool for getting conclusive evidence of wrongdoing or criminality. Now, there are three major things here that need to be highlighted. One, last resort. Two, identifiable larger public interest. And three, wrongdoing or criminality. Now, when you are lying about this wrongdoing or criminality, you can hardly say you've carried out any sort of effective sting operation. Now, what is the identifiable larger public interest here? Is it private morality? It cannot be, because that is not something that the state has any right to dictate terms on, except to the extent of what is legal and what is illegal. You can't come up and say this is the wrong culture. Everything is a part of our culture. We need to understand that we have a really complex culture. And last resort, what first resort was even taken? Like what has prompted these TV channels to become so desperate as to stand around on footpaths videotaping girls as an effort to prove that the club is doing something wrong? All of this happened between 10:30 and 11:30, we need to point out. So when it's happening within that time frame, there is not even a hint of anything illegal that's going on. These guys are merely standing around harassing a bunch of girls, heckling a bunch of girls to get a rise out of them. And they got what they deserved. They basically took a video of themselves being shouted at for doing something that was wrong. And they tried to pass it off as a sting operation. And there are guidelines against that kind of thing, and they are going to be enforced.
So you even mentioned that people didn't even bother to shut the door of the cab that you were in.
Yeah, so if you have watched the footage, you can see that while I'm getting into the cab, I'm trying to shut the door. But the reason I couldn't is because I was terrified. There's like a huge mob of people and this camera that's coming closer and closer to the door. And obviously in that bit I went in, and you can see that the camera was given its opportunity to stand there and like take a video of me for a little while, and then a considerate gentleman from the crowd came and shut the door for me. it took a little while for that to happen. I'm glad that it did happen and the crowd that was not so hostile or so sadistic as to allow that torture to continue. But yeah, it's just, for the most part, they just stood around and watched us. And when we told them what was going on, they would nod at us, but there was no result.
So would that be something you would convey to the crowd, saying that if something happens to people like this, please use your common sense?
I mean, to the extent that it doesn't descend into violence, we still don't want it to descend into like into utter chaos. What we want is for people to mobilize to enforce what is right, and what is right here is, at least like, for example, what is right here is the people on the other side of voyeurism. That man was clearly wrong. So what they should have done is they should have entreated the police to do something more. If the police also see that there are so many people who are backing them, as opposed to one scary man with a camera, it's really funny here that the scariest individual involved here is someone who's supposed to be representing the people, who's supposed to be representing the voice of the people, and instead what they are doing is just speaking out in favor of their own atrocities. So what we need for people around, like for the onlookers to do is to attempt to enforce what the system has provided us with. They were caught standing right there. If they had been goaded into action, then they would have, because they are, at the end of the day, they are wearing those uniforms and standing on the roads for a reason. If you keep enforcing that, if you just keep enforcing that, then your goal is achieved. We don't want to incite violence.
And now, I mean, incidents like these, I mean, not of this magnitude, higher, lower magnitude, we have witnessed a couple of them in the past. Delhi gang rape is the biggest example, and then earlier, one girl was abused in Assam. It was, the video went on air and all the news channels showed it. Now, trend generally observed is that, people, when this issue is hot, they talk a lot about it and then they get used to it. So, what do you have to say about that? I mean, things go cold very soon.
Okay, so if everybody that this happened to started speaking up about it, then there would be constant conversation, because sadly, it happens a lot. And we want to stop that happening. The more that people are shouting about something, the more it is observed that there is something wrong over here and we need to do something about it. So what we're looking at is just like creating a continuous ruckus about the fact that our rights are being violated and our liberties are not being respected, and what's happening is that our gender is being targeted. And that's an online campaign as well. One angle to this, of course, what's happened here and to the entire pattern of victimization that we've seen in these news channels. So one of the angles is this whole, the voyeurism angle, the entire safety issue, the safety concern that is raised for all of us. But the other angle to this obviously is the need for responsible journalism. So what we have done is we have started an online campaign to represent these issues, and my friend Aditya will now tell you about them.
Taking from what Shruti said, when we first started fighting what had happened to us, it was just specific to the four of us. But now we realize that issues like responsible journalism, especially the fight against what is known as voyeuristic reporting, is very, very important, particularly in light of representation of women in the media, which is why our second petition is so important, because it is demanding that media houses do not resort to sensationalist news, because what then happens is that they are abusing their power and basically just participating in gossip mongering and scandal mongering. They do not care about what they are showing and about whose lives they are affecting when they use this power so irresponsibly, particularly because the audience and the people of India really look to media houses, especially news channels, because to make an informed decision of their own. And when they perpetuate such misinformation, then they must be brought to justice, and this is exactly what our second petition is talking about. And we are sending this petition out to the following people. One is obviously Justice Kaju, who is the chairperson of the Press Council of India. Another is Justice Ramana, who is NALSAR's Chancellor, as well as the Chief Justice of High Court of AP. We also are sending it to other people like the Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Mr. Manish Tiwari, and of course, and most importantly, Justice Verma. And we hope that everyone participates with us, because this is a matter which has national importance, and we hope that the media will act responsibly, because there are guidelines that are set by the NBSA which are binding on all news channels, and they specifically which specifically ban things like voyeuristic reporting, which ban things like misleading titles. So when they put up titles like drunk girls on roads, it's very, very wrong. So yeah, so they should stop from doing this. That's all. And thank you, and please go and sign our petition.
So any message that you people want to convey to the people through our media?
That people should stand up for their rights. You should know your rights and you should stand up for it, and you should ask laws to be enforced in our country, and that is the only way that we are going to make any progress with regard to such issues. Raise your voice, agitate, something that Dr. Ambedkar said.
And you just also mentioned that you mentioned the Delhi rape case and what happened in Guwahati, and you said that sometimes these things come to the fore in a big way, and then it's a flash in the pan moment and then they die out. So it is important that what we're fighting for does not flatline, and that can only happen if all the people participate with us. And that is why we hope for a larger forum in which we can, where we have more support for our petitions as well. And as citizens, we owe it to each other that we ensure a personal security for each other, and that can be done only by not keeping quiet about such things. So thank you.
Okay, so I think that one of the reasons that we feel so strongly about us speaking out as well is the fact that after the Delhi gang rape incident, that a committee was instituted so fast, and a lot of reforms have been brought about in the laws so immediately that are in support of us, and we need to ensure that those laws are kept alive. So I don't think that has died down. I think that what we are doing, every movement that arises as a part of a response to the Verma Committee report is just a continuation of that. This is not a flash in the pan, but it is a continuing campaign to ensure that roads are made safer for women.
Thank you girls for joining us. This was really informative, and we will make sure that your message reaches everyone. This is Harsh on behalf of Hyderabad Weeks.